Trust in the Lord. That is precisely what we're going to be looking at this evening. And that one, it is easy in good times, it's easy on a good day to say, yes, I trust in the Lord. When everything is going right, when you're around good people, when there is no pressures coming from anywhere, no persecutions, nothing like that, no expectations of that are bad, it is easy to say, I trust in the Lord. And we want to look this evening at some things. We start off with Psalm 125:1. Those who trust in the Lord are like Mount Zion, which cannot be moved, but abides forever. Now, there's more than just this verse that states things like this. But the one who trusts in the Lord is like Mount Zion. In what way? It's not going to be moved. You cannot move that individual from their faith. Now, that's not to say that that individual, that someone with that kind of faith can't go through some very difficult times and be tempted to do it. But someone who has that confidence in God and maintains that confidence in God is going to show this sort of stability, this sort of it's not, he or she's not going to be moved. Cannot be moved because they trust in God. And it doesn't matter what anyone else says, they're going to trust God. Or what anyone else does, they're going to trust God. That is the entire extent of them. You cannot persuade them to do something else. Now, everybody has their times of weakness. Everybody has vulnerabilities. That's true. But we always have God, and we can base everything in our life on Him. Now, we go to this. There will be voices. In our life, there will be voices of discouragement. And this will be by enemies. It could also be by friends who aren't being very friendly at that time. But voices of discouragement. Someone who has come into your life at a time that is not a good time. A time that can be very, very bad. And the things they have to say are not encouraging in the least. Example. That of Job. Job and his wife, we don't need to forget her because she went through, she had the same losses. Now, she isn't attacked in the same way that Job was finally attacked, being covered head to toe in boils. But she's there too. But with Job, she is the voice of discouragement. And that's not to say that she's an enemy of Job. I wouldn't say that at all. But she was the voice of discouragement because what does she say? Curse God and die. That's what she said. Now, he does neither one. He's not going to do either one. You speak like one of the foolish women. You speak like a fool in saying things like that. He's not going to be shaken, even though his world has truly been crushed. Lost all his children, lost all property. He lost everything, and he's sitting in ashes. Covered, it'd be very difficult to recognize him. He's covered in boils. From his top of his head to the soles of his feet, he would look like misery itself. And we just look at this. Psalm 3, verses 1 and 2. Lord, how they have increased who trouble me. Many are they who rise up against me. So this is an enemy. All right, this is an enemy. Job's wife was not necessarily his enemy at all, but she still offered her bad advice. And notice what his enemies, those that rise up against me, many are they who say of me, there is no help for him in God. Just give it up. You're going to have confidence in God. God's not going to help you. Well, why wouldn't He? Why wouldn't he? Why shouldn't I have confidence in God? What is it that would defeat God from helping anyone? What would it be that would defeat God from doing what He wants to do? If He asks us to put our trust in Him, you think He's not trustworthy and that we shouldn't do that? That He can't do the things that He says He can do? And so here is David writing these words of there is no help for him in God. And if we just go over to Psalm 3, and we will notice some things about this psalm. And before we get to verse 1, we have this, a psalm of David when he fled from Absalom his son. Now, it's the scribes who put that in. Those words actually are not verse 1. Those words are from scribes who put that in, that would come just historically down the line. All right, that this is a psalm that he wrote when Absalom was trying to take the throne. Absalom would kill him and anybody else in his way. All right, this is a very difficult time for David. And he's having to escape for his life, and he makes an extremely wise decision. I tell you what, that David ran circles around his son, Absalom. He ran, and the men with him also ran circles around him. Absalom did not understand the enemy he was going against. And Absalom didn't understand God either. But here is this one who would kill his own father and anybody else. And David is in Jerusalem and he hears Absalom is coming. David could have closed up Jerusalem and prepared for warfare right there in Jerusalem. But he knew you're going to have people dying in that. People are going to suffer and they're going to die. And so what he does is he leaves. And Absalom can go in and do what he wants. But there's not going to be this great bloodshed or starving out of Jerusalem. That's not going to happen because David does the wise thing. But here, there is no help for God in him. Well, what happens? Is there not? Is it a very bad ending for David? Well, Absalom dies, and he doesn't like that. But that's the one who wanted him dead. Did God help him? Yes, God in fact did help him. All right, so we have that the voice of discouragement, but there's also the voices to change course. And this can be by a friend, or this can be someone who they're not trying to be your enemy, they're trying to give you advice. They're trying to some sort of expert opinion, some sort of opinion coming from wisdom or from knowledge or something like that. But if it is not advice to cling to God, that's not good advice at all. That's extremely bad advice. That's very bad advice. And we've got a world full of bad advice. But there's nothing's changed in that. The Bible gives us precisely what we need. And so Matthew 16:22, then Peter took him aside, that is Jesus. And Jesus, just a few verses earlier, said, "Blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah, for this knowledge has not come from the world, but it's been revealed by my Father who's in heaven." That he calls him blessed. And now Peter, in hearing concerning the death of Jesus, that this is going to happen, Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him, saying, "Far be it from you, Lord, this shall not happen to you." And Jesus' response is not a "thank you kindly." It was, "Get behind me, Satan." That's the voice of, that's not the will of God that he should avoid the cross. It's not the will of God that he would suffer nothing. and just ascend back up into heaven and nothing occurred. What was the point? To die on that cross meant that sins can be forgiven. To avoid that death means there can be no forgiveness of sins, because bulls and goats and sheep and doves, nothing can take that away except the Christ. Nothing else can solve the problem except Him. And what Peter is saying, what Peter in fact is saying is, and of course he doesn't understand the perspective of it, is we're okay being in our sins. Don't die as a sacrifice for sin. That's what he's saying, though he doesn't realize it. That we're okay, we will be better off if you don't die for us. Well, Christ knows better. The Godhead knows better. And whose voice is this? He says, "Get behind me, Satan." Now, Peter's very much a friend. He's an apostle of Christ. We see where Peter is at numerous places. Just this morning, we mentioned that of the Mountain of Transfiguration. Peter is there. Peter's right there in the Garden of Gethsemane. Peter is there. And this is a very, very trusted friend. But as we said, there can be voices that even by a friend to change course. You don't need to do this. Now, what would that mean for us? That would mean of something we know we ought to be doing to be pleasing to God. Something that we ought to be doing because it would be an act of righteousness. And a friend just telling us, no, you don't really need to do that at all. That that doesn't need to be done in the least. Now, there will be the voice of lies. Now, we've talked about the enemies that concerning Psalm chapter 3, 1 and 2. Those are the enemies of David, and they are saying there's no help for God in him. There's nothing there, or there's no help for him in God. And that would be enemies that just they're pitying him. That it's too bad you put your trust in God. It's too bad in this. But here are the voice of lies. Those others, they don't know what they're saying. But here's someone that knows what they're saying. They know they're telling a lie and purposefully lying. And that's the thing about people. People can get something wrong. They're not trying to lie. They just got it wrong. But people, not only can they get it wrong, but they can also lie, knowing they're just making it up. Knowing, and here we have this one who's called the man of God. It's 1 Kings 13:18. He's this man of God. That's all we know about him. We're not given his name. He's told to go up to that newly formed northern kingdom of Israel, to their first king, Jeroboam, because Jeroboam has immediately forsaken Jehovah and worshiping all sorts of things, and he's reinvented the priesthood. He's reinvented all the feast days and the observances. He has reinvented how God is to be worshiped and who God is. And here is this man of God who's told to go from Judah to Israel to speak against and to prophesy against that altar where Jeroboam is. Jeroboam happens to be there. And Jeroboam learns a lesson in all that. He doesn't keep it for very long, but he learns a lesson. Anyway, man of God has done everything he was supposed to do. He does it precisely. Now he's heading back home, exactly as he's supposed to. He said to him, and this is an older man, "I too am a prophet as you are. And an angel spoke to me by the word of the Lord, saying, bring him back with you to your house that he may eat bread and drink water. And then we have, I didn't add this, this is in the text, in parentheses, he was lying to him. I didn't add that. He was lying to him so that we would know. No angel came and talked to him. He's making this up. Now, what does this matter? Because God told this man of God, you go up there, you will eat nothing, you will drink nothing, and you'll come back a different way. You'll do your duty. And evidently, it wouldn't have been that far anyway for him to go. I mean, he's not as though he's going to be starving in all this or dying of thirst in all this, but go up there, do your duty, come back a different way, and go back home. You're not to eat while you're in Israel. When you get into Judah, yes. But he's not made it to Judah yet. And you have this older man who is also called a prophet. And when he says, I too am a prophet as like you are, to a degree he's correct. To a degree he is correct. But he's one at this moment who's a false prophet. He's lying to him. And he said, yeah, the word of the Lord came to me by an angel. Bring him back with you to your house that he may eat bread and drink water. Now, what is this concerning what we read from the very beginning about being like Mount Zion, being unmovable? What was his commission? Go up there, give this message, come back, eat nothing, drink nothing. It's very simple. And he knew what it was because he could repeat it. But now here comes someone that says, I've got different information. This too came from God. It came by way of an angel. And all of a sudden, okay, well, I guess it's okay now. I guess it's okay. Well, is it? Who do you trust? Do you trust God for what he said, or this man who says God spoke through him? Because it seems to me that if God were going to change his mind, he would go directly to the man of God and tell him he changed his mind. But that's not what happened. So here we have the voice of lies. That's a dangerous thing, because we can trust people. We can think they're going to tell us the truth. We can think that they wouldn't want to lie to us. And here is this man. He's not innocent. The man who did this, he's not innocent. He's making it up, and he knows he is. And he knows that if this man of God goes to his house and eats with him, that he will have disobeyed the command of the Lord. He knows it, because the man of God has told him that. Now, we come to this, and that is this strong confidence. And this goes right into being unmovable, because God doesn't move. If we trust in him, we don't move either. It's this strong confidence, this assurity that when God tells us something, that's it. That's all there is to that subject. When he has told us something, there doesn't need to be any kind of argument, any kind of figuring, any kind of rethinking. It's a matter of what does he say on this particular subject. Whatever that happens to be, whether it's concerning the subject of marriage, whether it's concerning the subject of murder, whether it's concerning the subject of whether he created all things in 6 days or not, he has told us these things. And so there's no need to move. There is every reason to have a strong confidence. A strong confidence. And the fact of the matter is, since I mentioned the 6 days of creation, fact of the matter is that everything that is found, truly discovered on this earth or off of this earth, shows that Genesis chapter 1 and 2 look accurate. Genesis chapter 6 with the flood looks accurate. And everything that is found, I mention this every now and then out of the Webb telescope that really hasn't been out for that long. Webb telescope finding things and viewing things that are the farthest objects humanity has ever seen. And it is breaking all the books of astrophysicists. And you have these careers that have come and gone, and they just collapse. Because what it sees is not what your astrophysicist predicted in a godless universe. A universe with no creator. That's not what they're finding. They're not finding what they thought they would find. They're finding what Genesis chapter 1 said you're likely to find. That it would be there, everything would be fully formed. And so here we have this strong confidence. Proverbs 14:26. In the fear of the Lord there is strong confidence, and His children will have a place of refuge. There is strong confidence with Him. Why does He give us His Word? To teach us. Would He teach us something that is false? Nope. Would He make anything up for this? Would He just start making up stories? Nope. He wouldn't. I mean, in parables, but parables are teaching you something. That's true. And that's precisely what we see they're meant to do, because if we were wondering what a parable was for, Christ explains enough of them to where we know exactly what they're for. But something like Genesis 1 is not a parable, nor is an allegory, nor is it poetry. It's factual. And when we come to His laws, those are not allegory, those are not suggestions, those are not just empty, kind of inert sort of things as a filler, but they're actual commands. And understand that when we disobey God, the earth continues to rotate. The birds continue to sing. If the sun still shines, the sky didn't crack. But somewhere, that is recorded. Somewhere, it is recorded. And remains until we take care of that. It remains until we do something about it. There is the fear of the Lord is strong confidence. Yes. Confidence in Him. You want a greater expert than He is? You're not going to find one. You want to find somebody that knows more than He does or more clever than He is? You're not going to find one. There is nobody. There is no book that's going to help you more than this book. There is no one that's going to help you more than God. And notice, His children, they belong to Him, will have a place of refuge. They belong to Him because they are the ones that have the fear of the Lord. And with Him, He gives them the refuge. Even when you have enemies that would discourage you, those that would lie to you, those that might want you to change course, whether this is coming from a friendly voice or an adversary, it really doesn't matter. Whether it's coming from someone who despises you or someone who thinks they're giving you good advice, it really doesn't matter. It is in God that we are to have that confidence in Him and Him alone. And it comes down to trust in the Lord. Have a trust in Him. Now, it is, and we have made mention of this before, it is easy to look at somebody else's life, somebody else's behavior, and judge it. And realize this person should have done this, and it's easy. This person should have done this, and it's easy. But when it's you, and there's emotions in the game, things change. Things change entirely. And we do have temptations and trials that are very real and very troubling. And God gives us everything we need to get through those times. Everything to get us through any kind of difficulty, any kind of adversity here in this life. He provides it. Do we believe that? Well, we need to. He won't let us down. He's not going to do it. This evening, let's look at our lives. Do we have the trust in Him that we should? Are we the servants that we should be? If not, let's make whatever adjustment that needs to make. And don't make it in just as a thing that I'll do tomorrow, as a thing that soon, I'll think about it. It's do it now. Why would you wait? We ask this evening, if you need to respond to the invitation, if we can help you in any way, that you come as we stand and sing.